Okay.
All right, class, we're going to be reading Cinderella. I'm going to actually be reading it to you, so I want you to really pay attention to those things that we talked about: plot, setting, and characters, okay? So pay really close attention and follow along. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Woo.
Once upon a time, there was a widower who married a proud and haughty woman as a second wife. She had 2 daughters who were equally vain and selfish by his first wife. He'd had a beautiful young daughter, a girl of unparalleled goodness and sweet temper. The stepmother and her daughters forced the first daughter into servitude, where she was made to work day and night in menial chores. After the girl's chores were done for the day, she would retire to the barren and cold room given to her, and would curl up near the fireplace in an effort to stay warm. She would often rise covered in cinders, giving rise to the mocking name Cinderella. That's where she got her name. Cinderella bore the abuse and patiently dared not tell her father, since his wife controlled him entirely.
Next one.
Yes. One day, the prince invited all the young ladies to the land, to the ball, planning to choose a wife from amongst them. The 2 stepsisters gleefully planned their wardrobes for the ball and taunted Cinderella by telling her that maids were not invited to the ball. As the sisters departed to the ball, Cinderella cried in despair. Suddenly, her fairy godmother magically appeared and immediately began to transform Cinderella from a house servant to a beautiful young lady. She turned a pumpkin into a golden carriage, mice into horses, a rat into a coachman, and lizards into footmen. She then turned Cinderella's rags into a beautiful jeweled gown, complete with a delicate pair of glass slippers. The godmother told her to enjoy the ball, but warned that she had to return before midnight when the spell would be broken. At the ball, the entire court was entranced by Cinderella, especially the prince. At this first ball, Cinderella remembers to leave before midnight. Back home, Cinderella graciously thanked her godmother. She then greeted the stepsisters, who had not recognized her earlier, and talked of nothing but the beautiful girl at the ball.
Now, who is the beautiful? That one?
Yes, that's Cinderella.
Ah.
Yeah. And her stepsisters are the ones in the background, very jealous. Another ball was held the next evening, and Cinderella again attended with her godmother's help. The prince had become even more infatuated, and Cinderella in turn became so enchanted by him, she lost track of time and left only at the final stroke of midnight, losing one of her glass slippers on the steps of the palace in her haste. The prince chased her, but outside the palace, the guard saw only a simple country girl leaving. The prince pocketed the slipper and vows to find and marry the girl to whom it belonged. Meanwhile, Cinderella kept the other slipper, which did not disappear when the spell was broken. The prince tried the slipper on all the women in the kingdom. When the prince arrives at Cinderella's villa, the stepsisters tried in vain to win over the prince. Cinderella asked if she might try, while the stepsisters taunted her. Naturally, the slipper fit perfectly, and Cinderella produced the other slipper for good measure. These stepsisters both pleaded for forgiveness, and Cinderella agreed to let bygones be bygones. Cinderella married the prince, and the stepsisters also married 2 lords.
Well, I say what's kind of different, or not different in
Sure.
is they're both selfish and vain.
Yeah, they are. The 2 sisters, huh?
Yeah.
And the stepmother too, because
Yeah.
she just seemed to only be worried about what her daughters were doing, and she cared little about Cinderella. So how about we talk about Cinderella for a little bit?
Okay, so